as you probably know, I like the option of dangler or belt mount, so that's why I've got the two options here. As you know, the dangler attachment is rigged up so that you don't have to remove your belt to mount it. So you just feed this through your belt, and when it's on your belt you then attach your knife to it. Now the other option is you take it off and then you mount this directly onto your belt. As you can see, just a normal belt loop, and what you do is just put the D-ring down the bottom, and if you want you can actually use that for attaching things using some sort of carabiner or one of those small clips that you get from dog collars. And this is also wide enough to be mounted on a military style belt as well as your standard civilian style. Now, the sheath itself. I opted this time for a flap, just something different. I thought I could do it this way, or I could go the normal way and mount it like that. Now we've all seen these before, there's quite a few of them out there on the market, and you just friction holds the knife in place. But I thought I'd try something different. Friction still holds the knife in place, as you can hear. Got a little stud there. What I did was, normally you would have one hole and a bit of a cut in the leather so that you got some movement, but what I did is have got two holes with leather in between and a slit between the two. Thinking behind this is put it on like that. When it's at the top, it's quite snug, there's not much movement in there. If I pull it like this, then there is a bit more movement. See? Get my fingers through. Pull it down. I can't. Now over time that will wear down, but it doesn't matter as long as the holes work. So there's the flap, just comes over and just clicks on. I thought about press studs, and I thought about other options of actually attaching the leather flap to the sheath, but unless you've got some really good quality press studs, they have a tendency to fail. So I just go with very simple pin and hole. Easy. If that leather does wear down over time, what you can always do is you can actually cut a circle out. You can then put in a backing piece of leather that can then be stitched on, and that will work exactly the same way. So if that wears out, you can just cut that out, and then on the flap you stitch another piece of leather with the same holes, and it works exactly the same way. So that's easier to fix than a press stud. Now, fire steels. What I've done here is I went through different ways of mounting the fire steels. I thought about having a piece of leather stitched in and glued here, going around the front and around through to the back, so that that would actually sit like this. But I didn't want to basically mess up the clean line I've got here. I actually kind of like it. So I thought, well, I'll just attach them to the outside. Now I've had emails already, people asking me why I attach them on the outside and not actually fed them through inside here. Okay, at the moment the outer flap and the inside spacer creates 3 layers. So if I was to get that and that piece and shove it in between, I'd actually have 4 layers, because I'd have the outside pieces plus the 2 sides from this minus the center divider. And you got to get it in there, you got to clamp it, you got to glue it, and you got to drill it, and it makes it a little bit wider as a single piece, because not only that, you would have, it'd be thin here, it'd be 3 going to 4, back to 3, up to 4. So you need to get the middle dividers here, and you need to adjust them accordingly, and you need to put in some little triangular pieces, and there's just a lot of work. This way, if these get damaged or worn down over time, I can just undo the stitching, I can actually get these off, and I can replace them with new ones. Now, the way I've got things mounted at the moment, at the top, it's been specifically sized for this little flashlight. It's stiff at the moment because it's still new. So that little flashlight sits in the top one, and that will be its permanent home. Now, you've got to push quite hard to get that out, but because I don't use that very often, the stiffness and the size of this loop should remain the same. Leather loops like this, they tend to stretch and become soft and supple the more they're used. And because this would be like an emergency backup light, not so much a general purpose use, then I won't be using it very often. So that will be its permanent home. Now the bottom loop. The bottom loop has also been sized to take this larger fire steel. Now, as you see, I can't get it out. Now at the moment it's just sitting in here, just to show you what it's like. But what I plan on doing is, in the future, I'm actually putting a proper handle on this, and it will sit upside down, or it may even be mounted the right side up. But then to remove this, as a safety feature, the torch is actually holding it in place. It won't go anywhere because the torch is in its way. So in future, if I use this and have it right side up, pointing down, then I have to move the flashlight up to get this out. Especially at the moment, it's still thick, so it's a snug fit. But that works well. But the other option, I've got to put this somewhere so I don't lose it. The other option is my other fire steel, which is the army size of the Light My Fire. Now, it has a striker. I prefer using these strikers because that's what they're meant to be used for. I actually don't like using the blades of my knives because it can actually damage the edge. And I don't like some of the discoloration that is caused on the steel when you use the back of the spine. But you know, everyone to their own. But this will be mounted upside down. So, okay, how does it stay in there? Well, that's where the paracord comes in handy. I'm trying to do this backwards for the camera. The striker sits on the back. That paracord goes through the top, like that. So it's just like that. And then pull that tight. The little gap in the middle there actually works as a holder. And then what you do is that. So it won't come out. I can push quite hard. It's got a little bit of give, but not much. Now if you don't want that dangling around, just tuck that up and over. Psst, psst. Hi Raz. Hey cat, what you doing? Come and say hello. Come on. Say hello. Look up. Psst, psst. Yeah, so rub yourself all over the tripod. Don't take into account that I'm filming here. Psst, psst. Where are you? You're a sook. Yeah, you just want attention, don't you? You just want attention. Oh, you're purring. I wish you guys could hear this. He's purring so loud. Anyway, where were we? Oh, so to get this out of the way is lift it up and tuck it over. And now when you're wearing it, this makes it much easier to actually remove, because all you have to do is just pull that out and gravity does the rest. Now getting it mounted while you're wearing it, that's not a problem, because you're not exactly in a rush. Your life doesn't depend on actually getting this back on correctly. So if your hands are cold and you're fiddling around with it, put it in your pocket. The other option is slide that up, drop that in, and slide this back down again, and that holds it in place. You know, you still got this to deal with, but you can sort that out once your fire has been made. Another option, another reason why I like carrying the fire striker is, as long as you keep the handle part clean, not like the striker end, but if you keep the handle part clean, it also works as another item. It works as a reflector, a signaler. So there you go, guys. This part, mounting it upside down, all of this, that takes a bit of practice. There's no rest. Still quite stiff. That'd probably help if I get it in the hole first. There we go. Put that down. And this is the one I'm actually going to be carrying. I just need to get a handle put onto it. But there you go, guys. Life is difficult, isn't it? Yeah. Life is so difficult for you. What do you think of it? What do you think of it?